And after that, the Harvard Business School Association of Nigeria Infrastructure Roundtable with Lagos, the Lagos State government will be on the 9th of the month. That will be next week, Monday. And the next day after that, which will be Tuesday next week, the Nigeria Economic Summit Group conference will take place for 3 days in Abuja. Then we have the World Bank IMF annual meeting starting on Monday next week as well. That's in Washington, D.C. Meantime, the World Food Price Symposium is also scheduled for Iowa in the, at the beginning of the third week, technically speaking, the 16th of October, where you have Nigeria's Akiwumi Adesina standing up for honor as the laureate investor teacher for the World Food Prize, what is doing at the AFDB as Africa's #1 agric personnel. That's standing up for honors there later this month. In our economic data, what do we have? We have the third quarter GDP. We're looking at the fourth quarter, if we are early, perhaps the first week in November. Then we'll have the September inflation also indicating, and of course, the regular PMS and transport economic data for the month of September. All that will be coming out, as always, if you look at the calendar from the Statistics Office. Then, of course, the final central bank meeting for the MPC in the third week of November. Then, of course, the third quarter earnings will start from the late October. Some of the banks will likely be the early bets, as always. Then the Budget Office, the appropriations document, is expected to head to the National Assembly this month if the promise by the Udoma's Budget and National Planning holds water. So we're looking at the submission of the 2018 budget draft document to the National Assembly in October, and that October starts right now. Let's look at what it says in the news this morning. One of Ondo State, Nigeria's largely agrarian state, today published a two-page report on the rating by the independent Augusto and Co. That's on the 27 billion naira, 15.5%, 7-year Series 1 bond that has been issued by the Ondo State government. That bond will be maturing in 2019. It has about 2 more years to maturity. Augusto & Co. Affirmed the Ondo State issuer rating of A- with a stable outlook. Augusto & Co. In the report says Ondo State's major revenue is the federally collected allocation, what you call the FAC. Statutory allocation was 64% of Ondo State's total revenue in 2016. That's about 68% in the previous year of 2015. You can see the numbers there. While the Ondo State's first line of deduction as a percentage of its statutory allocation is close to 27% against 22% in 2015. Ondo State's ISPO, that's the ISPO there, stands for Irrevocable Standing Payment Order. You issue an ISPO when you're borrowing from investors. That irrevocable standing payment shows the deductions that will be made every month from your revenue from the government into the account that is being dedicated where investors will have comfort that you can pay back what you're borrowing. So Ondo State's ISPO amounted to 35.2 billion as of September 30 last year. According to Augusto, that is sufficient, quote there, to cover the total bond obligations of about 27 billion naira that Ondo State is borrowing from the marketplace, and related expenses, which is about 380 million naira. If you add that to the total borrowing, leaving the balance with about 7.9 billion, roughly 8 billion, as at September last year. That looks like a summary if you're tracking the Ondo State 27 billion naira bond maturing year 2019. You have the basic information there for you. Where are we with the marketplace? Let's spend about 2 minutes to take you back to the market if you checking that through this morning. Let's start with the foreign exchange market. The Naira was up 0.03% when we clicked off the market, closed the doors, and shut down the engines on Friday, 305.75. The central bank reference spot FX market. The interbank NFX market, the Naira was up almost 1% against the greenback at 355.49. lost 1.04% on the British pound and a negative 1.5 against the euro, 425.72. Move that to the street. Let's see what we're looking at. Well, okay, this is where we Friday looked at 0.5% gain on the street for Naira on the dollar, 0.61%. We climbed to 486 on the pound sterling, but we lost 1.6 on the street to the euro at 430. And finally, the investors and exporters market showed the Naira was a little bit tepid at 360.4. That's where the market will be starting today, or starting as we speak. Okay, let's just add the stock market to this, and if you're interested, you heard that we lost about 0.12% for the month of September. Last week we lost 0.18%. Year to date, we're about 32% in the green, 31.87%. That's still below 36,000, 37,000. We're above 35,439. Later today, you get what the index reading for the Nigerian market really is. We lost about 20.96% in terms of volume last week, just before the Independence holiday long weekend. 1.32 billion ordinary shares, 14.08 billion naira, 14,703 transactions. The banks will meet the headlines in the week we just finished, 1.17% from that subsector. The consumer space lost 1.87. It was a bit of a load shedding for Nestle and Nigerian breweries last week. Industrial goods also lost about 0.75%, despite those massive buying into Dangote Cement and Lafarge Africa. Insurance followed their cousins, the banks to the north. That was a green shoot, a little bit lower, but the oil and gas was 0.5%, much better. Let's hang all that there. When we come back, it's going to be the energy market. Nigeria was part of the higher production for OPEC in September. Oil price is still above $52 a barrel. That looks like good news. Another good news, Bonny Light is expected to come back on stream this week because the first measure is expected to be lifted. The repairs are almost done. We're not done yet. We're back in 2.